Hi, everyone, and welcome to our monthly broadcast, the Urantia Book Fellowship. We feature wonderful guests, and today we have Paul Kemp from Nova Scotia and Antoinette Rootsdawtah from Lake Elsinore. And we're so delighted to have you guys on and talk about your Second Miler Fund grants that you got from the fellowship and what you're going to be doing with those resources, and even what you're doing in general is great. Love to have you both on. I've known you both for a long time. Paul, I'll start with you. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you found your? Just remember, our audience are Urantia book readers, so it's fine to talk about how you found the Urantia book and what brought you to apply for a Second Miler grant.
Okay, I was actually on a very focused spiritual journey as a young man of 2022. And I joined with 500 other Canadians. We formed 3 residential schools. We sold all our belongings and began teaching courses that were based on the ability of an ordinary human being to communicate directly with the Spirit of God within it. We called it the divine principle, rather than the thought adjuster. Anyway, we developed very powerful courses and ran those for 8 years here in Canada. We had 3 residential schools. We gave 2-week courses, 1-month course, 3-month course, and sabbatical courses. And that lasted up until I joined the community in 1976, and that lasted to 84. And when I was leaving to come back to Nova Scotia, I went to the library, and there it was, the Urantia book. And once I started studying, and Monty and I started studying seriously, like 3 hours a day, in 1986. We actually on our honeymoon, we began our study. And so then that just led me to attempt to develop technologies, which led me to the websites. Back in 1986, I think I started with when it was still a military internet.
Wow.
And I wanted a way to outreach. And so anyway, I had several websites up for many years and participated in different groups and went to different conferences where I met some of you lovely people. And then I guess about 6 years ago, I decided to try to establish a network that had all the capabilities of Facebook, only without the algorithms directing people's activities. And so I worked on that for about 6 months, and finally it crashed and I just couldn't get it up again. So I went to the community that developed the software I was using on the internet and found Dave Onchi. And so he handles all of the technical things. He's very masterful at it. And so that allowed me to focus on growing a network, a community of people who are interested in or who may be interested in the Urantia Revelations. And I'd like to encourage Urantia book readers to join our network at spiritualfamily.net and give assistance, because there's vast numbers of people really around the world who have studied this book for years and years and have developed ways and techniques in better communicating that to the world's people. But anyway, when I successfully established the site with Dave 4 years ago, all of a sudden, people from Nigeria or from Uganda started joining me. And most of them were directors of children's orphanages. And so I lent them my artistic skills and created crests and logos for them. I helped them direct them to establish in Uganda. They have little um, uh, NGO certificates that they can get from their sub communities and things like that. So what happened is all of a sudden I thought, well, this is wonderful service work for children's ministries, and so I said, I think I'm going to add a little bit of Urantia revelation to the thing. So I started posting little thought gems from the revelation on all these directors that were joining the site, and they called them scripts, and they kept encouraging me to give more. And so then I took I have a Word document, I have a Word document where I split off just the life and teachings of Jesus from the rest of the Revelation. So I started giving them and little apps where they could put them, the ones that had smartphones on it. And communications was a big issue with that. And so then they became students of the Revelation. But what was critically important was and it's one of my favorite ways of remembering what Jesus said. And those are the Plato and Antoinette's words of Christ. And so everybody that joined, after I would say a month of service and activities, I would give them these, and I think that they were instrumental in giving them the basic essence of the Master's teachings, because there's 42 of them, and I use them myself because I often forget exactly what he said. And so if we're going to use him as the model of loving kindness and service, and so then all of a sudden pastors started joining the network, and this is where I met Moses first. Actually, he was here in Canada, and he's the one that really opened the revelation up in Uganda. He came and studied with us for 3 weeks and took back 39 books in his luggage. We all know how heavy they are. And then he started outreaching to thousands. Now, it's different in Uganda. God is a part of their daily conversations. Right? You'll notice this if you go to the members on our website, go to their Facebook pages, they're constantly posting either from the Revelation now or from the Bible, but you can see they are active religionists, right? And I think it says in the Revelation, if we're not promoting our religion, we don't really have one, right? We just have a religion of the mind. And so then I joined up with the fellowship and the IFC committee, and things just blossomed. We had funding to do things, and if I've got lots of information. If you go to their groups on our network, what I do is whenever they have a mission, I get them to tell the story. And I guess part of it is how I function in service to the revelation is my adoration for the mission of David Zebedee. And so that's why I called our property David Campus, and used the name David Campus for since '86, since I started on the internet. And it was critically important to get the message and the news of what's happening with the revelation from the various parts. And David Zebedee fulfilled that function with runners. And today we have modern technologies and communications that we can really amplify that. And so I tried hard to get all of the events and the activities that they were doing, and put videos, put lots of photos, and get them to write up brief summaries of what's happening, what's going on, and what they're doing. And so all of that is documented on the Spiritual Family Network.
Did you want to show us that site?
Mm-hmm. What's that?
I said, did you want to show us that site?
Yes, just 1 second here. If I bring it up, I'm just going to show you some of the primary groups here.
So you can give us the address again, or maybe they can put it up. There you go.
Okay, this is the main site here. And different activities going on. You just scroll down. Now this is Andrew's group, and these are all his blogs. And he has all kinds of, he's got videos on here, group videos, and all of them have all of these menus on them, or not group files is where I put their videos, because they're just little videos that they send me. And so you can go and see all of the activities, and there's some really inspiring stuff on here. To see the enthusiasm that they have. Now this is Golden Age Foundation. This is Angelo's group. Now this is a foundation that he runs. It's called Golden Ages Foundation. He's preparing, and he named this before he had the Urantia book, but now he has full knowledge of what the Golden Ages are really all about on Urantia. And then there's Bishop Joseph's site, and so these are his blogs here. And you can just click here to get the activity at like the main group menu, and it shows all of the various activities. So all of the blogs about his bicycles campaign, what he did with the Second Miler grant, and things like this are on here, and it shows group activity. And this is Bishop Moses and Caroline's blogs here. And so these are beautiful messages of activities of all of the outreach he's done so far with the grants, and also with assistance. We run campaigns on our network as well, and we can usually raise upwards of $500 to $1,000 each month that we send to them. And so this is, and so you'll see that the groups themselves show the menus. Just a second here.
Mm-hmm.
On the sidebar, and if they're on a mobile phone, these menus usually appear on the bottom of their screen. And so this is the group I've established for Urantia Africa. Now all of their reports are on this group. And so if you want to know what's going on each month, then you can go here and click into the site files here and see all of their. You can see all of their reports are on here, and we started producing a newsletter as well, and we have 2 there, and they're on here too. And when you click on them, see where the latest. Looking for the newsletter here. And so when you click on those, they load up in the
probably just takes it a minute to load.
Well, it takes a bit to load. It depends on, we're getting around 10 or 15,000 visitors a month, and we have just a regular server there.
Okay. And Dave Antoinette
We don't-
for you?
So this is Wilmette Development. Now, what I find quite amazing about how things unfolded in Uganda, we have Bishop Joseph and Bishop Moses are basically bringing this revelation to the churches. And Wilmette Development Foundation, now they go to universities and give lectures and courses and things like that to students. They do TV shows and things like that. And so they're getting it out to a different crowd than the churches and the. So basically, just how do I get out of here?
I like the infinity effect. That's a great infinity shot.
Yeah, and so what the site is about, I guess, is thinking of David's messengers coming into one group, and see, they didn't have telephones, they didn't know what was going on in other parts of the mission, and there were, and like us, there were various revelation ministries. What I want to do now is to see if I can find 40 women that are longtime readers of the Revelation that would help me bring support to the women in Uganda. Now, right now, the female leaders in Uganda are Caroline, Moses' wife, and Dorcas, Andrew's wife, and they both have their own Urantia outreach study groups. And there's another lady, and I forget her name. Who's that, Mike? So anyway, what I'd like to do is what they need to communicate with the Revelation community is to get a smartphone enough that they can, like our smartphones, where they can go to my website or to the fellowship website or anywhere and see what's going on. And so what we want to do first is try and equip 3 women, and this is what we did with Moses. We gave him a laptop, a tablet, and that set off with the communications. And so we started sending monies for people we thought were leaders. We started sending them cell phones that were capable, smartphones that were capable of loading the apps necessary to use Messenger, Facebook, and things like that. And then once the communication was there, just the growth just unfolded. So that's our next project, is to start a women's group, find 40 leaders. So if any women in the Revelation want to become involved in this, please send a message to paul.kemp at live.ca saying that you're interested in this project. And so anyway, our first step is to give them smartphone and data for 1 year. The next step is to get them a laptop. And the next step is to get them a printer. But once they have that, they can, even if they only have 5 or 6 books, what they can do is print off their lesson plans and pass it out to 20 or 30 people. And so anyway, that's the next phase of the project.
Well, that sounds so wonderful and interesting. And I can't help but notice a lot of them have showed up. They've made some comments on the comments board. And we've got Matt and Moses and John, Billy, and just Matt, several of them now. So I don't know if we could get them on for a minute, but I think that I'm so glad they're here. Welcome, you guys. It's good to see you all today. What a great project, Paul. how, how spiritually led you are. It's just delightful to have known you all these years and just see how the Spirit guides your life in the places that you just need to be. And what great work you've done with the help of your friends. Joseph Anche, is that what you said? He helped you create the website, and is that correct?
What's that?
Anche, is it Joseph Anche that helped you?
No, David Anche. If
David.
any of you need any help with the nuts and bolts, he can fix anything. Because I actually went in there just after I started that website and I broke the whole thing. It wouldn't load. He had to fix it in, I'd say, 10 minutes. He goes in and reads these long files and fixes and he can adapt any plugin to do exactly what you need to do. Actually, I think some other Revelation websites are actually approaching him. And
God bless him, and God bless all your friends from Uganda.
Well, tell them they're trying to get on, but it's slow.
Oh,
Okay.
Monica says their message. We have constant communications with Uganda on WhatsApp and Messenger. Monica says they're trying to come on to the show, but it's very slow.
Okay. Well, they are on the comment board, and I hope that some of our viewers will be able to see some of their great comments. And if they go to the spiritualfamily.net website, they can get to know all of these wonderful people that are working with you.
Yes, please do, because there's such a variety of talent they have. And each of the apostles, and they went in and described this in quite a bit of detail, how each apostle attracted a certain crowd, right?
Yeah.
And it has to do with the 12 archetypes and the 24 with the male and the female. And but once you know how, so now no one of us can reach the entire world.
Right.
But if we have all of the archetypes aboard, then our rotaries can really attract anyone in the world.
We're tapping into the wisdom of the master then, aren't we? If we do exactly that. Yeah. And it's just so great that, the second Myler Grant and the Urantia Book Fellowship were able to help you guys. And it's been wonderful reading your reports. You can find them again on Paul's website, the website they've created together, spiritualfamily.net, and their various reports and what they've done with the funds. The fellowship is delighted to be able to work with people like you, Paul, that are out there doing, great work in the world. And you're right. We understand as a fellowship, we can't do it all. And so we're so thrilled to have people like you who work with us. And I'm glad you're on the International Fellowship Committee. I bet that's a lot of fun for you, especially doing what you're doing. So thank you so much, Paul. And Monica, too. Monica, we love you. And all of your friends. And Angelo, I saw your note. We're so glad you're here, all of you guys. Thank you so much.
Yeah, Monica's been instrumental. She's a silent partner. Until recently, all of a sudden she got on, when the pandemic hit, she got on these Zoom conferences, and she's been all over the world. But usually she's very quiet, but she's really been a backbone of this project with me. She's struggled and labored through all of my frustrations trying to get the site to work properly and finally getting it up. But she's also very, very advanced on the social circuits. And so they all communicate. I said, how can you find out? But mind you, I noticed that almost everyone in the Revelation could do this. It must be a talent peculiar to them. But I would be interacting with someone for 6 months, And then they would have 2 or 3 conversations. They'd be telling me things about their life and what's happening that I hadn't even discovered in 6 months of daily communications with them. But that's a talent I think that in particular is a woman's talent.
Well, women definitely have a gift that way.
Yeah. Yeah.
But thank you so much, Paul. And that was a great segue into Antoinette because, I have to say, Monica's your loving, devoted partner and has helped you so much. And I have a partner like that. And I wouldn't have been able to serve the Urantia movement had I not had my wonderful partner who he told me once, my gift to the revelation is to hold the fort down so you can go and do what you do. And that touched my heart so deeply because I know the truth of that. And it's absolutely true. And Antoinette is the loving and devoted partner of Pato Banton. And together they are quite a dynamic duo. And, Antoinette, I just have to tell you that those of us who knew Pato before you and know him now as well, of course, know that you have brought so much into his life in terms of the way that you help promote and your PR and your dedication and the hard work that you do. And, I would ask you how you found the Urantia book, but I'm pretty sure I already know. Did he turn you on to the Urantia book or did you already know about it when you met Pato?
Thank you so much. Absolutely, he turned me on to the Urantia book.
That's what
When I first I met him like decades ago, back in the early 90s, and we kept running into each other on different occasions in different states while he was touring. But when back in 2009, when I started working with him, it was probably about a year into the tour or 6 or 7 months into the tour. I asked him, I said, what is this book that everybody keeps asking me that's written by angels? Everybody keeps saying, there's like, what's this book that's written by angels? Can you tell me about this book? Can you give me this book? And I'm like, I have no idea what you guys are talking about. And then Pato says, you walk by the merch table every single night and it's sitting right there. It's the Urantia book. I'm like, really? I don't know what you're talking about. I said, you're just singing. Everybody's hands are in the air. I don't know what they're into. I wasn't listening to his lyrics, or I wasn't listening to the words, and I wasn't really paying attention. I was just kind of playing the chords and just singing along, not even really paying attention to anything. But when he gave me the Urantia book to read, and I started to read this big, heavy book, walking around in my purse, I couldn't get past the forward. I was reading the forward. I got a massive migraine and a headache, and I was like, okay, this is definitely not for me. And I gave him back the book. I said, I'm an educated woman. I've read lots of books, but this is definitely not for me. And he goes, why don't you start in the table of contents until you find something that resonates with you and then start reading from there? So I started flipping around and I came to Adam and Eve. And I said, what does the Urantia book have to say about Adam and Eve? Because I know I didn't come from no man's rib. So I started reading from there, and then I could not put the book down. I went backwards and forward, Lucifer Rebellion, going all the way back. And then I just totally went through the entire book so many times. And then somebody told me there was an app, on the phone that you could read the book on the phone. So I was like, oh my gosh, I don't need to carry this big book in my Hollywood purse anymore. So I just took the app and I started just going there from the quotes and then finding papers to read while I'm standing in line, while I'm in the grocery store, while I'm traveling. And that became my obsession, was reading the Urantia book. But I became even more obsessed when I wasn't interested in reading part 4 of the Urantia book, because I was like, what can you tell me about Christ that I didn't already know, that I've already learned in church? What can they tell me? I'm not really interested. So at that point, when he started doing the Words of Christ series, many of you guys have listened to, I did the music for it, but I still wasn't listening. And then it was one day after he had completed the project and we were traveling, like we have like these long drives, 8-hour, 16-hour drives, and he would pop it in and the rest of the band would just kind of knock out and fall asleep. I would wake up all of a sudden, I'm like, oh, the Decapolis tour, Fleeing from Galilee, the Bernian lectures. And all of a sudden I had this massive amounts of information in my head and I knew exactly where it was. And I said, oh my gosh, Christ is not just what they tell you about in church. He is the creator of the universe. He is something that his message today still resonates and is so important today that it just needs to be told again and again and again. Everything that he says, and I love watching these series, like The Chosen and Kingdom AD and Empire, because it's so relevant in today's issues that people are not really recognizing. They think it's only 2,000 years ago. This is so relevant today. His message needs to be heard today. And that's why how we're doing the stuff with the music, and why I even applied for the Second Miler grant as well as he did, is because we have so much stuff to tell. People are not getting the full story. And I think one of the reasons why I really got involved with the Divine Feminine and Daughters of the Divine Mother and all this feminine energies just really started happening in the last few years. And the Urantia women, all the women within the Urantia movement, they have a story to tell. There's a message about the Divine Mother that most of the world does not even know about. So one of the pieces that I did, which is called I Am Mother Spirit, is a compilation of who the Divine Mother is in so many different religions. So many women I've talked to, because we're on the road right now. So if you see my background, I'm in Santa Cruz as we're doing the Good News, Peace and Love tour. A lot of women, they feel disenfranchised by the male patriarchy and hierarchy within the religions, and to the point that they don't even want to be involved in a religion at all. They would either become atheist, agnostic, or just something else, because they're not finding their place. And I'm letting them know that they do have a place. Not only do they have a place, the Mother Spirit is the creator along with Christ of this universe, and it's something that they recognize, as the Urantia talks about, as the Shekinah and the different things within the different religions. And the more you look into it within Sanskrit and different Indian, Hindu and Judaism, the feminine divine is a sacred source. It is a very, very big part of culture, but it's gotten kind of wiped away, erased, or forgotten. And we just need to discover it again and share this knowledge around with the rest of the world. So like I said, reinventing how we're restating the Urantia book. It's still the same truths contained, but there's so many different ways that we can actually share this great news, either through music, through artwork, through imagery, through, coming together in fellowship. Our spiritual family is, we built that spiritual family. So like you said, we didn't have that spiritual family before until I came into it with Pato. And I was like, Pato, we have to make ourselves more accessible to everybody. That means our Urantia studies that we do 3 times a week. He just finished up and concluded the one for the children ages 5 to 17 years old. Wow. And these children, and it was actually the kids who asked to do a UB Zoom study because they want to know more about God. It was a 13-year-old named Michael who found Pato on the internet and sent him a message. And he's like, you've been talking about the Urantia book, and I want to know more about it and learn more about God. And even though Pato was trying to teach these children on a basic level, these kids were drawing their superhero celestials of the Thought Adjuster, of the angels, of Gabriel. And I was like, Pato, these kids are a lot more smarter than you think they are, because they understand these heavy concepts. If you ask this kid what a Thought Adjuster is, he could break it down and tell it to you. It's very amazing. So our Sunday UB studies are on at 10 a.m., which is also in Africa time, like 6, 7 p.m. So people from Europe and Africa can also tune in and join us. And then the one on Wednesday nights at 6 p.m. PST. And anybody can join. It's a very interactive UB study. It's a lot of sharing. It's a lot of loving. At times there's lots of crying when everybody gets emotional and they're really feeling it. They were feeling it when we were talking about Jesus going into Jerusalem. Everybody was having a meltdown. But, it is what it is. But it's very beautiful. But basically, our ministry, our music, I put up there, if you want to show the I Am Mother Spirit, that is part of the Second Miler. This is, and it's going to be a long series. I'm not done yet. I have much more to do to sit there and bring out this feminine divine. And one of the things that I also want to do, because I have these different vocalists, is to do it in different languages, to do it in Sanskrit, to do it in Italian, to do it in Chinese. And to do it in Korean,
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah, is this the grant you got, the
Yes.
Second Miler Fund for this presentation? Are we going to watch it? Yay.
Yeah.
Do you have a minute? We can watch it. Can we get the sound?
Yeah. Well, she has to click on the. Oh, wow.
There's infinity.
Infinity.
I love that.
I do too.
Yeah. So that is amazing that you're doing that work with the Mother Spirit. And, I have to tell you that I, too, never accepted that a woman could be anything less than a man. How can a man be greater than the person that bore him and brought him onto the planet? Even as a child, I knew there's something wrong with that. That just isn't going to work for me. So when I read in those places in the Urantia book that completely refute that notion, and in particular one where they're saying, as we view things, we being the celestials of the universe, that our big brothers and sisters in the universe, as we view it, we don't even consider a planet as being out of barbarism until one sex ceases to tyrannize over the other. And so clearly that's something that needs to happen on the planet, right? The equality of male and female needs to happen, and the true magic that happens in that partnership between a man and a woman. And it's just nothing like it. And we haven't had an example of it because we lost our Adam and Eve. I find it interesting that you first found Adam and Eve, and you were interested in that because you'd be amazed how many people find the Urantia book because they were interested in the story of Adam and Eve. And they come to that first. Many I found, and many come to the Jesus Papers first, obviously. Many do. I would have gone to the Jesus Papers first, but those first 5 papers really, really got to me because they introduced to me the God that I've always known in my heart. So.
And you notice that it's really like our work is really cut out for us because I do a lot of social media. So I spend a lot of time on different social media platforms. And when I'm hearing the women out of their own mouths say, God is above, definitely agree. Then their husband, and then they're underneath them. And they promote this constantly. And I'm sitting there like, no, it's an equal partnership. This is how my husband and I work together as equal partnerships. There's no one above each other because we are equal in the eyes of God. This is a really difficult concept for even women to accept. It's bad enough for men to accept it, but just to get our fellow sisters, and our aunties and our nieces and everyone to accept it as well. That's something we really, really have to promote. So that our work is really cut out for us. And I'm not going to stop until, we seek this equality and equity for women all across this planet.
For all people. But my gosh, we're all God's children. We are all worthy of dignity and love and affection and attention. And, we're all worthy of that. Every single one, no matter what sex, no matter what race, no matter what religion. God loves all of us equally the same, and that's a key concept from the Urantia book. And I know you are so media savvy. There has to be somewhere that people can easily find everything that you've mentioned to us, including your work with Pato, your family work, all of the teachings that you guys have. I know you've got it all in one place. It's easy for everybody to find.
I have them in several places, but I should put them into one place. I have them in several places because it's the same thing, like you said. When you're talking with different types of people, if you're with people, which I call them Jesus freaks, that's what I used to call them. It was like Jesus freaks. All right, so here's where all the Jesus freaks are over here. And then I'm in other areas where you have the agnostics and you have the atheists. I can't tell you how many atheists are within our ministry group. I didn't tell them to join. I wasn't preaching to them and say, you got to believe in God and you got to read the Urantia book and come follow me or something. They followed me in there. They followed Pato in there. They liked what we had to say. They liked the message that we were sharing. And they're always in there all the time. I'm like, but you're an atheist. Why are you? All right, but if you're loving this love and this fellowship, then that's fine with me. We're going to go ahead and continue to share. And then the science people, Oh my gosh, I love my sci-fi geeks and all my science, freaks and everything, because we have a lot to talk about as well. So I just kind of place myself in different positions, in different areas, in different arenas, and I meet them where they're at, and I share the good news with them that way. And then when it comes to equality and partnership, after we did our third conference in Ghana, that was the one, it was Pato's idea that said we're going to title this Mama Africa Mother Spirit. And we made all the presenters women. If you could see the guys sitting in the audience, just they was itching to do their speech, and their presentation and everything. But I was like, but when I heard these voices of the women in Africa, they had a lot to say, especially Amiko's wife. She's like, when I founded a Urantia book, my soul is on fire. And I just wanted to go out there. And I said, oh my goodness, who is this woman? Who are these women? These women were astounding. And they gave such beautiful presentations and stuff. I really still have to, it's just, I have so much footage of so many things. I've got 20,000 hours of videos of different things. I really need to compile them. But if you see these women in Ghana, in Nigeria, you'll see just an amazement and a plethora of knowledge, and especially coming from a mother perspective point of view as they're reading the Urantia book, so it's like, we want to support the women more, and what I've learned from the women in the Urantia movement, they're like, anytime that you guys have guys presenters, you got to have women equally presenting. If you have guys speaking, you have to have the women Declaration of Equality. Yes, thank you, Pato. They've got to be presenting. They need to be sitting on the boards. They need to be making the decisions just as equally as the men do. Times are changing, and we're going to sit there and continue changing them, but the women have to know their importance and their value to this revelation as much too, because they have a lot to say, but they're usually saying these things behind the scenes, not out there publicly, so we want to get them out there and let them lead the way too.
They need to bring what they bring, right? They bring a unique gift, a beautiful gift, and it's a feminine gift. And it's not enough to be women pretending to be men. We have to be ourselves. We have to be women being women. And that's the special gift we give. I think you guys need to go Uganda next.
Yeah, we plan on it. We plan on it. We've got, we already have, I guess, one of the orphanage that we've been supporting. And then my friend Jane, she finally got a chance to go back over there. She was adopted, and she's in our ministry, and she finally met her mother after 50 years, and her brothers and sisters. And then this other woman that I'm doing with my social justice work, she has Ungun Institute. We're planning on doing some things over in Uganda as well. So there's a lot that's happening, and, the country's changed a lot, throughout the years. So we're excited.
Yeah, that would be great. And boy, Paul has helped you immensely, because he's created a movement over there that you can just plug into when you go. So that would be wonderful. What else do you guys got going on that you want to share with us?
Well,
even whether it's Second Mile or Grand or not, whatever it is. I know you're doing a tour soon. Yeah. That's wonderful.
It's a 26 city tour. We've already done Oxnard, Santa Barbara, and we're going all the way to Port Angeles, back down to San Diego. So, and we're even booking shows as we speak, even while we're on the road, we're happening. So right here behind me is where we're going to be putting on a free show, here in Santa Cruz. And we got our Urantia books with us. Just even the past 2 nights, I saw this guy, with the Urantia book we had at the Juneteenth festival as well. He would not let go of the book. I was like, we can leave it here for you, and you can pick it up after the concert, after the show. He's like, no. And he just insisted on walking around with this Urantia book everywhere that he went. And this is what's really nice, because these are young people. We've seen, we're dealing with like an older society of the Urantia movement, but we're not seeing, like, when I went to the Urantia Sisters gathering, I was the youngest person there, and I'm 52. So how am I going to be the baby at 52? So that's kind of crazy. Yeah. So it's like, where's all the other in between? So this next generation of movement is really great, because through the concerts that we're promoting, spreading the good news, letting them know that there is life after death, that there is something that we can all come together, through peace and love, that we can set our differences aside. And that's something that Pato is very, very good at, because it's like we can set our political differences aside and come together in unity, not uniformity. That's important, especially now, because everybody's so divided with everything. So now is a very good time for people to be able to come together, come to the concerts, listen to music. And so here's the album. This just came. So here comes Rootsdawtah.
Wonderful.
CD, 2 CDs in one.
Excellent.
And you'll find a lot of this music that I was writing for the movement is in here and stuff. So it's
Beautiful.
I'm just inspired. I'm so ready to get going and get motivated. I'm so glad to be out of the house.
Yeah,
I'm on a mission.
That is so wonderful, because I've seen you guys in action, and I know how much energy you put out when you're performing. And I know performing is a joy, and it is a ministry in itself, and art is a ministry. But, I've seen you guys at the end of a long tour. I think when you came to Santa Fe, and I was sitting in the audience, and I said, boy, those guys look tired. My heart went out to you.
Girl, that one was, we played in Arkansas the night before. We drove 16 hours, sound check, did the show. We were beat up, but that was one of the best shows we've ever done. I mean, it was really amazing. It was one of the best shows we've ever done. So
put it out, and that's the point. You just pour your energy out. All of you do. And
as the Urantia book says, devote your life to proving that love is the greatest thing in the world. So that is our mission.
Yep. Mm-hmm. And you do well. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for all of your service and all that you've done. And you're in a wonderful position to do this. So, my hat's off to you.
Thank you. And we'll be in Colorado next month too.
Oh, good. Well, let me know, and I'll help you promote amongst the local group. I'd love to do that. Love to be able to help you with that. So, yeah. And where can people go to find your tour schedule?
On officialpatobantan.com.
Okay, good. Great. Yeah. Officialpatobantan.com.
Yeah.
Very good. And we can find out. And I highly encourage everybody to go out and support Pato and Antoinette's ministry. They always do a prayer circle, or try to anyway, afterwards. And I've been in on some of those, and it's been wonderful. And one of the songs that I have on there, You Can't Stop Us Now. We did something with, as you know, that we're part of the United Religions Initiative, and also part of Evolutionary Leaders. They had invited us to do something for they call it Billion Acts of Peace. The Nobel Peace Prize laureates encourage the youth, in the work that they do, to continue on with the work, at a very young age. So in the state of Colorado, so this girl, she's in our video. She's in 2 of our videos, actually. Madi, she was 7 years old when she tried to talk to her community about plastics and the single-use plastics and the styrofoam, about healing this world and the environment and stuff. At 7 years old, she started her lobbying campaign. Just the other day, just this past month, actually, the governor has signed it into law, the banning of single-use plastics and styrofoam in the state of Colorado. Yep. This is a 7-year-old child. Yep.
It's amazing when you touch the youth. And so we're going to have her at our event in Colorado, because I want her to speak to the people, to encourage the others, ministry, activism, the whole nines.
Oh, that is wonderful. I was so proud of our governor for doing that. I'm actually pretty proud of my state. It's got it in the beauty category for sure. And I've always loved that. But, obviously politics is not always so progressive as you would like, and so in touch with what's really going on in the world. But like you say, children are. And they have to be. They know that they get to inherit the world. I love that saying. We're not, we're borrowing this world from our children. We're not inheriting it from our ancestors. We're borrowing it from our children's. That's important. Paul, I'd like to invite you back on if you guys want to just mix it up a bit. And if you have any questions for Antoinette, or Antoinette, any questions for Paul?
Well, it looks like women are going to play a major role in the promotion of this revelation, because it seems like there's a lot of focus on bringing that out. The revelation actually says that every moral thought has its ancestry in the family home. And then that's after they also declare that the family home is the work of women over the generations of man. So that's going to add, it's really going to add a balance, finally, a balance. You know, we say balance, but we don't live balance. I think that this revelation is going to bring women forward that will bring that balance completely, so that it's not only talked about, it's actually lived.
You know, it's interesting to me that the movement, the Urantia movement, has been punctuated by very strong women. And oftentimes you hear people reminisce about Julia Fenderson on the West Coast, or Berkeley Elliott in the Midwest, or Emma Christensen in Chicago. You know, it's actually been punctuated in that way by very, very strong women. So, you know, I couldn't agree with you more. And, you know, Paul, I have to point out, years ago, and this is just a personal story, years ago, in about, I'm going to say, I don't know, maybe the early 2000s, I got a post from Paul, and it was a message about how the energy in the world has shifted from the patriarchal domination to more matriarchal, and the matriarchs of the world, and the energy is shifting. The Christ energy is shifting. I think that's what you were, the gist of the message. And I've saved that message all these years, and I refer to it often. It was so beautiful. And not shortly after I got that message from you, I had a dream, and in the dream I was climbing a ladder into eternity. And I was looking straight up, just kept climbing this ladder up and up and up. And I stopped for a minute, like, phew, I got to take a break. And I was just standing there looking around, and I felt somebody behind me, and they had to stop because I stopped. And so I looked over my shoulder on who was on the ladder behind me, and it was Jesus. And he just didn't say anything. He just looked at me and nodded his head up like this, like, just keep going, kid. And I immediately woke up and thought, Master, you don't follow me, I follow you. And what I heard in my mind when I thought that was, I stand behind you. I'm behind you all the way. I've got your back. All of those statements that we make when someone supports us. And I realized, oh, okay, I get it. You are behind me. You do have my back. And so that was really an inspiring 1-2 punch to get your message about the matriarchs of the world, and then also to have that dream where Jesus told me to just keep going. Just keep going. Don't look back.
Maybe we can do that story of Eleanor Panopia. She saved the entire world.
Yes.
From going into open rebellion. The entire world. One woman.
One woman.
We could use her as the hero of our level of universe life. I mean, that story there amazed me. I think I'm going to post that. I'm going to do an article on that.
I wish I knew what she said, don't you, Antoinette? I mean, I wish she must have had global communications. She must have had an internet, because she turned the whole world back. You're right, Paul. So she had to have had a way to do that. And it must have been an advanced world, is what I think. It must have been a world more advanced than ours, even, for her to be able to do that.
Well, at least with the same level of communications, but we have at our fingertips an amazing technology that we can use to really make changes rapidly in the world.
Yeah.
And to socialize the whole world as well.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. So are you going to the women's retreat coming up, Antoinette? Are you going to be in Washington in September?
I wish. I know it's over there with Susan Cook. I miss my girls. I miss my aunties. I've had the best time. For any of the women who've never been, I absolutely suggest that they join any women's retreat, especially the Urantia ones, because I've learned so much and I've gained so much. And it really kind of opened me up more to understanding our mother more, and I guess maybe it's kind of weird or difficult for me as a woman because I never had a great relationship with my own mother, so it was really nice to find this out about the Divine Mother and to learn more about her. These women are fascinating, so they're going to have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful time. But, hopefully I'll be able to see them. I know we're passing through up there, to get up to Port Angeles, but I know there's other Urantia women I'll be seeing up there in
Absolutely.
in Washington. Yeah.
I'd love to go to one of those. That would be fun. And, here's a secret that I'll tell all of our men listeners that they probably don't know. Women get together in a retreat and we minister to each other. And we minister to each other in the most real and beautiful and poignant way. And we create a sacred space where we can open our hearts and just share in a very deep and meaningful way. And we understand, I think, that men aren't always comfortable with that kind of thing. But when it's just women, all bets are off, we get to minister to each other. And I love to point out that when they keep women out of ministry, it's really a joke because women are ministry. Women are the heart of ministry. And I think it's because we carry life and we bring it into the world. We feel responsible for it being here. We carry the responsibility of life being here. And so we take it personal that other life on this world is sustained and it's upheld and it's nurtured, because in our sisterhood we realize that every mother who brings a child onto the world is doing a precious, sacred thing. And we owe it to each other to uphold that life that we collectively bring into the world. And so we are the heart of ministry. I've never seen a woman that could, cry without some other woman coming up and crying with her. I mean, it just comes natural. So, you don't have to call us ministers if you don't want to, but we know who we are.
You definitely are. You definitely are. And that's something I learned from them too. They have a great way of listening and of patience. And when we study something, they really take it in. They don't rush. They don't rush with anything that we're learning or we're studying or whatever. They really, really absorb it and take it in. And I think that's something that we could teach the guys, And Pato's actually, he's going to do a men's retreat, because I notice a lot of guys really need that support circle and group with each other. I notice that every time we have one of our spiritual gatherings, when the guys get together, it's like, finally the men get together, They get to have their moment. Yeah, they minister to each other.
They do.
It's really good.
And especially when they're alone and when they're sitting around the campfire and there's no, and everybody's had a beer or two, then ministry, they really do open up and come out to each other. And they do the same thing, really, and create a safe space. So we have a couple minutes left or a minute left. And I just wanted you both to have a chance to, again, share any URL you want to share or anything you'd like to share to promote your project.
Well, I would just if you could put up on the screen the HTTPS spiritualfamily.net for people that to join and begin communicating with the members, especially in Africa, and help to share their knowledge of the revelation over a long time. Most of these are new readers, just 2 to 3 or 4 years. And we have many experienced readers with 20, 30 years now.
Great. So, thank you, Paul. And Antoinette?
Well, I just want to extend my invitation to Paul. So I'm also on WhatsApp. So if any of your readers are on WhatsApp, we also have the Urantia Africa WhatsApp, with a lot of other readers that are connecting together. So if they would like to connect with the other readers because I don't think a lot of them know each other, so it would be good for them to actually connect with each other. I see a couple familiar faces, but there's a huge group of them on extending from South Africa all the way up to Uganda, all the way up to the north, and into Ethiopia and Kenya and different places. And for those who are watching, Mate, Jacques, yes, I would love to work with the women in Uganda and in Kenya, for social justice. I am absolutely 100% there for you. Just inbox me, contact me, and my information is there on the Facebook and everything. So I'll drop my links. I'll go back in there as well too to drop some more links.
Great.
But thank you so much. This has been amazing.
I love you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart.
I love you too, Paula.
Thank you. Thank you, Paula.
You're welcome.
So we'll have to do this again.
Yes. Let's do.